complete nerve authority.
On time to welcome our friends in. Quick house, you know, it could fill up quick. So if you see people coming in and you got some seats, just raise your hand and welcome in a new friend. We're going to be very friendly today. I am very glad that you're here. I think for everybody who was in the millennial range, like I talked about, loved the show growing up. If you were a local, you know that it came on Channel 15 back in the day. It used to be an NBC affiliate or whatever. Now they're with Channel 19. I am so happy to have these two here. They've been in so many things over the years, but of course you remember them from something that was big for a ton of us some years ago. We've got Tom and Erica from Smallville. Everybody welcome. They're here, I just saw them. Close the doors. Well, guys, thanks for coming to Huntsville. Is this the first time in town for either of you?
Yes, for me.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's really friendly, sweet.
Well, we're very happy to have you here. As I'm sure you've heard, this is the Rocket City, and it's been a big couple of weeks in those circles. Did you guys get to check out any of the fun stuff around the Art of the Student Vision the past couple of weeks? Because we got a lot of people here that worked on it.
Oh, I mean, I've seen stuff online. I'm glad they made it back, and you know, it's always a good thing.
No, it was pretty neat. My sister was watching it like 24/7, so I got all the little snippets from her. It's pretty incredible.
Who here worked on the rocket?
We have anybody from Marshall that worked on SLS? I didn't take a hold before you got here.
Maybe they're working over the weekend. Unpacking.
We actually found out that like more than half the crowd traveled from outside of town to come see you guys today. So to you guys and everyone else, welcome to Huntsville. Now, I'm sure you're aware there already is a bit of an Alabama connection for Smallville because your theme song was from a band from Birmingham back in the day, Ring Zero.
I didn't realize they were from Birmingham.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you had ever gotten to speak with the band, but it sounds like maybe.
We had the lead singer on a podcast I do with Michael called Talkville, and he came on and talked to us. Told us about the what the song is really about, he wrote that song because he was contractually obligated to stay in that band and he didn't want to stay in the band. And so when he says somebody saved me, that's what he's talking about. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, finish that.
There you go.
So, we'll get some other fun stuff later, but like, since you guys are making, your first trip to Huntsville in one case, like, I wonder if you've ever gotten to check out any of the rest of town. Have you been to the museum or some of the local restaurants? Tom, I heard that you got to check out some of the places in town last night. I have spies everywhere.
Yeah. Well, we were at the hotel. We were hanging out with Zach and just catching up. And I walked around a little bit. I went to it's not Dollar General, but it's yeah. I went there. Yeah, and I saw the marathon this morning. Anybody see everybody running around downtown at 8 o'clock in the morning? It's like a marathon there. So it's like a very nice place, people walking around. The girls are wearing dresses. The guys have collared shirts on. It's nice.
Guys, let's dive into a little bit of your other work. We get into, most everybody has your favorite show. Erica, I want to talk with you a little bit about some of your other work. You had a really cool role on the show, Saving Hope. I wonder if you could speak with us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I did that show with Michael. We have known each other for like 15 years and we met on Stargate. And so then we ended up working together on the show. So that was really fun. It just provided me an opportunity to play more of a leadership role and kind of test myself out with some more intense kind of responsibilities. And I got to direct one of them and do some producing. And it was, I had 2 babies, like on that show. So that actually has a very significant place in my heart. And that's what's fun about creating. You get to kind of embody these different characters at times in your life where you think, oh, this was perfect for me then. And now I'm looking for something now that is going to be perfect for where I'm at now. So, yeah.
I'm curious, working in that kind of role, did the medical stuff stick with you? Like, have you watched the bit? You're like, oh yeah, I've done that procedure.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes there have been times where I thought I could offer a hand here and there in a general situation. And I'm like, I can't go in there and do the treatment. I mean, what are we talking about? Hope you don't find, is there a doctor, around or whatever? And I was sitting by a guy on the plane once and started to get something was going on with his heart. He's like, oh, I don't feel good. I don't feel so good. And then I started to like ask for the stewardess, and then they're like, is the doctor? And I was like, well, if nobody's there, I'm jumping in. I don't know what I'm doing, but I can do some compressions. The juice, the sugar levels are low. And, yeah, but it was fun.
Reminds me of Joey from Friends.
I like Joey.
Doctor on
I do this in real life. Come on.
Thomas mentioned your other favorite roles besides the obvious one we're talking about today.
I was talking to somebody about a movie that comes out pretty much every year around the NFL draft. It's called Draft Day, and I watch that every year when it's on too, because I always forget how he figures out when Kevin Costner kind of figures out how to manipulate the system. And it's like every time I watch it, I'm surprised that he does it. He pulls it off. Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to be pretty cool to them. You're like a football player, you're Superman.
They do introduce their Superman.
Or do they just take it down?
They love it.
Oh, okay.
So far. Yeah. Just in Disneyland, and we would be standing in line and my kids would turn to someone and go, my dad's. And I'm like, shh.
You like kind of messing with the kids, it's like, yeah, keep in mind, I am.
Yeah. Well, my 4-year-old says, why can't you fly? So, yeah.
Scared of my bad.
Yes. Yes.
Erica, there was another role that you were in that I wanted to ask you about your experience. You got to work with Tim and Eric, the adult swim guys. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was good. They were really fun, super, like they were gentlemen. I was just in and out really quickly for that little piece. But it was quite fun, I was down on work and getting to work on one of the lots, and they had the big crane, and it felt like something a little bit different, and I had done it right after Smallville ended, so it was really fun.
I can tell you some of the certain things that's like watching adults swim in my dorm room back in the day, like it was like insane on the viewer side. I was just curious, like it was that insane on like the filmmaking side.
The portion of it that I was part of was pretty crazy, but they told me I couldn't say too much. Needless to say, it felt really cool I was just a guest there and just watch these guys create. It was really spectacular.
One other thing I want to ask you about too, I understand that you're doing a lot of work with World Vision Canada, and I love like hearing people support of like nonprofits and such. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I think that your facts need to be off. They're off a little bit. I'm not going to claim something like that when I'm not actually doing it, but I do have various things that I support. And one of them is called Teach Beyond, actually, and it's my uncle started it many, many years ago. And now they have schools all over the world, but they just go into a community and find out what that community needs and what kind of school, and they build up for grassroots. And I spend some time contributing and supporting that.
That's it. All right. Yeah, let's get into the show a little bit. So, like, Tom, whenever I get to speak with some of the cast from Next Generation, one of my other favorite shows, I always kind of zero in on like one particular episode and ask them about their experiences. One that always sticks out for me is when you shared the screen with Christopher Reeve. And I'm just curious if you have any stories you can share about that. Like, how was your time with him? Is there anything that you learned from him that sticks with you today?
Well, I just, he was very funny, which I didn't expect. He was really happy to be there, to be on Smallville, and really liked the show. He didn't like you feel sorry for him in a way, even considering the condition he was in. We just had a lot of laughs. And he wouldn't leave because the whole idea we were going to shoot all of his side of the scene so he could leave. He didn't have to be there all day. But he wouldn't leave until his nurse told him that she was going to call the police if he didn't. And then he turned to me and he says, "They're always telling me what to do." But no, I just very fondly, just a real hero.
Did he say anything to you ever, like when he was first there, like I did it this way, or like?
No,
I can imagine that he would, but I just wondered if like you did the same thing, if you guys ever had a week about like.
Well, I told Brandon about this story because they were shooting Brandon's Superman movie.
Right.
And just toward the end, when I was saying goodbye to Chris, he said, "Hey, I'm really glad they chose you to be the next Superman." And I go, "Well, they did. They chose Brandon Routh." And he kind of laughed. And he said that they should have chose you. And it's just a nice thing for him to say. Brandon kind of chuckles about that too. So, yeah, that was nice to hear.
How did you feel at the end, like the very last moment of the last episode, finally got to wear the suit? Did it feel like you had earned it at that point? Like, was it a big catharsis? How did it feel on your side?
It was the last thing we shot before it was the end was the push in with the crane where Clark opens up his shirt and see the S. It's the last thing we filmed. And it took a long time to get because it was one shot. A lot of the crane had to come in, and they set it up where so we one shot, and the crane had to stop here, and I had to run toward it and stop right there. A lot of timing and this and that. And then we got it, and a lot of times when you're shooting things, and it's so hard to get it because it's technical on the camera, this and that. And then you get it, and you go, "Oh, got it." And we're like, "Okay." So I went. The crew turned to go film their last scene of the day, which was, I forget what it was. And you kind of just all say, "All right." And the AG said, "We're on the wrong set." And so they all left that way, and I went that way and got in my car and went. Yeah. My car was packed. I was ready. I was ready to start one trip. Yeah.
It wasn't the last thing you shot for Rose. You guys did the Crisis on Infinite Earths art a while back. I wonder how it was returning to that role. Did you feel it all rusty? Did it take some time to go back to those boots?
I thought it was fun because I kind of thought that Clark would be more like Jonathan in this version. Even I tried to walk a little bit like John Schneider. I kind of did some things with like the gloves and stuff that John would do. We shot at the Kent Farm with a television crew that never filmed there before, and it was kind of funny because they weren't sure where they wanted to shoot and I was like, "Oh,
Just like you were thinking so hard."
yeah." I wanted to take over and like I've been here before. I know where to go. I know where to park the trailers. Just fun. Got to see Erica, and I got to meet John Cryer, who I always looked up to growing up. He was a wonderful guy. It was fun to sort of just look at him and kind of laugh that he thinks he's like so there. I thought that was fun.
we're gonna pass it over to Q&A here in just a moment. So guys, you see there's a couple of hot mics. If you got anything in mind you'd like to ask Tom and Erica here in just a moment. While we wait on everybody to line up, I did have a couple follow-up questions.
It's okay, no one's lining up, it's fine.
Yeah, right. Here they go. All right, so I feel like there is sometimes a fraternity among cast or people who tackle a particular genre. Like you talked about hanging out with Brandon. I got to meet him 2 years ago. He's a sweet guy. Have you kept up with all of what's going on in DC? How did you feel about the new James Gunn suit?
I still have yet to see it.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen it quite yet. I hear it's good. I'm not able to keep track of all of the comments and you know, guess some people love it, some people hate it. I don't know, but Michael Rosenbaum's good friend, so he knows more than I do. Michael wanted to be here, but he just had neck surgery and we couldn't try. But we got Eric instead, so we upgraded.
If you guys had some words of wisdom each of you that you want to pass on to the actors taking up roles now, what would you tell them? Obviously, you play different versions, but they're still kind of the same at heart. What kind of words would you have?
Well, and I've said this to some younger actors that I've worked with on their TV show where, you know, really try to take the time to enjoy it because it can be so overwhelming and so demanding, and especially playing an iconic character, that sometimes you get lost in actually enjoying the process. And so I try to remind people of that. I try to remind myself of that. And that's something I try to.
I suppose I would say, like, you do you, because they got the part for a reason. So there's a hit that they saw, that the people that have invested a huge amount of money. So they're not going to make a mistake there, you know? So they already saw something within the way that they did things that put them in that realm. And then they're working with people cumulatively. I would say, you know, trust the process, trust the people that you're working with. Like, don't think you're the only one that can contribute to this thing, you know, and then just be you. And something that happened when I came on the show, which was really lovely and created a good atmosphere. But I would say it kind of answers into that question as well, is Tom was always like, best idea wins. And a lot of people that are in that kind of position, they kind of close themselves off and say, like, I'm the only one that knows, and their ego gets ahead of it. And then the whole story is screwed because of it, because you need a huge group of really interesting, intelligent people that are skillful in all their different ways to contribute to it. But like at the end of the day, I just feel like trust yourself. You do it your way, and then hand it over to the other people that do their part.
I think that's great advice for any young person. Do we have anybody that's inspiring now? I think
You do you. One you.
All right, we've got quite a line here. We've got about a half hour. We'll try to get through as many as we can. First up in the baseball jersey. When you come to the mic, introduce yourself, tell us your name and where you're from.
My name is Eddie. I'm from Durance, Mississippi. And Tom, Erica, thank you for big guys coming down here. It's me again, the short guy.
That's what you said. I didn't say it.
Tall. He was tall. And he had boots on yesterday, so he's like. Anyway, I just got one simple question. Who do we need to kidnap to get a Smallville reunion or movie?
Well, you know, in a couple months, we're doing a Smallville Comic-Con in Nashville. So we got a lot of people on the show that, you know, it's only Smallville related. So that's a bit of a, you know, reunion of sorts. But yeah, you know, Michael and I have tried to sort of kick the can down the road to do an animated series that we pick up right after we're Smallville left, and, you know, get the actors to voice their own characters. We've already got some artwork. Alan Miles, who wrote Smallville, want to write it. It's just, we got to get DC to let us do it because they own it. But as far as like, you know, I told somebody yesterday, you guys remember that show, Saved by the Bell?
Yeah.
Remember how they used to do those like things where they would go to Vegas? I think it was the biggest one time they go to Hawaii and the whole cast goes. I'm like, I don't know if Smallville's really the tone for that, but
What? Be on board.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Steve,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question. Next up.
Hello, my name is Rhonda. I'm from Demarcus, Alabama. Okay. I want to say first, Christopher Reeve was my classic, right? He was the first Superman I knew, and I loved him. And then I started watching Smallville as a young adult, and watched it with my youngest son, who had just been introduced to Superman with the old movies. And you were, in my opinion, the perfect rendition of Clark Kent growing up, as if he would basically play that part of the combo. So that's the first thing I want to say. Second thing is, would you ever be interested in if they were to do some type of multiverse and have all the Supermans, possible, and have your version of Superman from Smallville? And would you be interested in doing something like that?
Yeah, we think now with all these multiverses.
Yeah,
Sure,
everybody's into all multiverses right now, so
yeah.
like I would love to see you back on the screen if I could, and all the characters, of course.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be fun.
Try and help you out with the mic there. What's up, man? Tell us your name.
My name is Zachary. I'm from Alabama, and I wanted to ask you if you have ever had like awkward moments in public where like someone has recognized you.
Yeah. One or two. Yeah.
You recognized me in public and you didn't know it.
Oh, yeah.
You were there.
We did this con in New York City. It's like a huge con. And it was maybe like an hour or two after the show. I go to the hotel and I was walking to go meet up with my family. We're gonna anyway, and I'm walking down the streets of New York. There's tons of people, as you can imagine, and they're on the other side of the cross of the intersection with Erica. And she's not on her phone or anything, she's just standing there. And like the light changed. We're walking, and she's looking, she's walked right past. And I didn't want to bother her.
She's marching somewhere.
She was going somewhere, and I just thought that was kind of funny.
People recognize you everywhere.
Instead, you walk right past. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, usually people are pretty respectful, and it's kind of cool. I mean, same thing happens to me. If I see Christopher walking at a restaurant or something, you know what I mean? So I get it. Yeah.
I got a follow-up question. So, like, do you ever run into any kids around his age that recognize you for the role? Do you feel like a responsibility having had that role because, like, kids are supposed to look up to Superman? They look to him for advice and help.
Not really. I mean, it's fun. A lot of kids will say, well, the parents bring their kids, and the parents grew up watching Smallville, like, hey, he was that guy in a lifetime. You look different. Get that a lot. So, yeah.
Good question, bud.
Thank you. What was your favorite Smallville?
My favorite season was 8 because then they had introduced the Daily Planet. So it might be a little selfish, but it's because I was like, I'm gonna get more screen time. Yeah, and I got to find
Anybody, what was your name?
My name was Jackson.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Jackson.
Good question. I think this final season, as far as shooting, because we had the luxury of knowing it was our last season, so we got to prepare that it was going to end. Because usually a lot of shows get canceled. You just show up one day to work and you get canceled. That happens a lot of TV shows. So it was it had a different vibe because we knew, the moments were fleeting.
It kind of changes because for you had to do 22 episodes for this many years, and there was never an ending, and not to be ungrateful, but you could lose your excitement for something if you just feel like it's not like it's not going to end.
Right.
And then in 10 you knew, okay,
Yeah.
I have an end point.
Yeah.
And it made the moments a little bit sweeter.
I appreciate it a little bit more, but it's leaving.
Yeah. Like, wait, I kind of like you.
Yeah.
This is a fun scene.
Next up.
Hi, I'm Renee from Harvest. Longtime fan, raised 3 boys who have grown up under Jonathan Kent's sage advice over and over, quoting Smallville. So fun. I was so excited to see you, Erica, as a guest star on Tracker with Justin Hartley not long ago. I don't know when you shot that, but we just saw it a few weeks ago. And my question is, I was wondering, Tom, are there any plans for you to guest star and cross over with Justin and maybe even Jensen and have an episode with you?
Well, I did get to play around with Jensen on Winchester's. We ended up having AC together. on that. I wish that show would have gone a little bit longer because you know, Maggie and Drake is just such, they love being on that show so much, and I was really rooting for them to continue on. But no, Justin hasn't called.
Hey, while we were working, and then he was like, "Thanks, Tom, we're going to be on my show." I'm sorry. You got a text, and he's like, "Okay."
Thank you.
Hello there, my name is Jack. I'm from Wisconsin originally, but I'm going for my doctorate here in Huntsville. So happy you guys swung by. You two are, you know, my Clark and Lois, so you know that's wonderful, iconic. The show did run for 10 seasons, so it's pretty phenomenal. Was there ever a point, you know, where you're like, oh, we just lost Lex. How are we going to keep doing the show for this long? Or oh, we just got Lois. This is going to end really soon because we have the true couple pair. Like, what is? Like, of course, you guys knew 10 was the final one. Was there ever a point where you're like, I don't know how much longer this will go?
Pretty much every episode. I mean, it's funny now, it's a little different because back then, a lot of, because of streaming world now, in order to get a show on the air, most shows have all their episodes written. And that helps them sell the show to whoever buys it to put it on air. Back then, you had a pilot, and you would shoot that, it would air, and then if it did well, you would then go shoot. And, you know, the writers would have arcs of characters and whatnot, but nothing was written out completely. And so a lot of times I was getting information script by script. So I really didn't ever really know what was going to happen. I see now where there was a transition between, the show kind of went from Smallville to Metropolis. And it's almost two shows. You can almost separate them. But you got to see the characters and the show itself grow up. So that was fun.
I got a follow-up question for you guys about like TV production. Like so much has changed in the past like 5 or so years since everything has been so streaming focused. And now it can take like 2-3 years in between seasons.
I hate that.
I was just about to ask, how do you guys feel about the change of how everything has come about?
Well, I mean, you know, you watch a show like Landman, was I'm a big fan of all of, you know, Sheridan stuff, but you know, I watch them all and then I gotta wait another year. And as a fan, it's like, shoot.
But they used to be able to, it would just be every week. And now I'm mad that I have to wait 5 seconds between an episode. I'm like, what is this noise?
Erica, we were talking about medical stuff, and like I love how the bit has kind of like changed the trajectory a little bit. They're doing it every year now. They do like 18 episodes, kind of like you guys did back in the day. How many episodes per season you guys get? Like around 20-ish?
22.
Yeah. That's almost unheard of these days.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Hi there. My name is Jake. Right now I'm living in Birmingham, but I was born and raised in a small town in Kansas called Humboldt. Less than 2,000 people there, so that was kind of my Smallville growing up. I just want to say, you know, thank you guys for your show and being there my whole life. At the time your show started, my mom had just been married, and you know, things were kind of awkward between new stepdad, but we both had a love of Superman and bonded over that show. And I, you know, if I ever had the chance to thank you guys, I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad we deserved it.
Our favorite thing about coming out is we're getting all those feedback from people and you guys are being so gracious and sharing your stories about how you watched it multi-generationally, something that's really important in your home, made you feel seen. And so for us maybe I should speak for you, that when I was working, sometimes you felt like you were just doing this thing and it was for you and that was great. But then you started feeling like, what else? And then we come here and we meet you guys. So thanks for telling us that.
All right, next up.
Hey, Will from Nashville, grew up in Florence, just across the way. Loved Smallville, watched it many times, watched it when I was employed. Watched it with my wife when she was diagnosed with cancer, and when she's right up front there with my man. So it got us through some tough times. That thing is, it's like 45-minute episodes, so sometimes you have to rewatch the episode to fall asleep. But nonetheless, you know, stuff like that and Smallville brings really great memories for us. But my question is, do you ever come in contact with like celebrities, other actors that, hey, they come up to you and say, man, I love Smallville. Because, you know, I would just love to know who, because I contact friends and stuff. It's always meeting people that love Smallville. So I know there's bigger audience to this out there. So
Yeah, I mean, It's always funny sometimes in like the green room, there'll be a bunch of celebrities, this and that, and it's always that, especially if it's someone you look up to, you don't presume that they know who you are, and you're nervous, you don't know, and then you meet them and they're like, oh yeah, I know exactly who you are, watch your show. I was at a con once, and Richard Dreyfuss was there, who I'm a big fan of. He was sitting by himself, like, the person who's there helping him, and I was talking to the person I was with about, like, wow, it's Richard Dreyfuss. Like, I was so impressed, this and that. And all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I think it was JP talking to somebody, whatever. And it was like lunchtime, and I'm sitting down, and then Richard Dreyfuss Stephen comes over. He goes, "Hey, Richard, we really like to have lunch with you. Is that okay?" I was like, "What?" So I got Dreyfuss, and he starts talking about Smallville and how he watched it with his kids, and it was just like, "What? You know who I am? You know my name?" It was really cool.
What were some of your like acting influences when you were like breaking into the industry? Like who were like your heroes?
Paul Newman, Robert Redford, guys like that, Warren Beatty. I watched a lot of movies growing up, so but I like that those guys I was inspired by them in that they not only acted but directed, and then took more of a production role, which I was able to do on Smallville as well. So I think, yeah, that kind of stuff. Tom Selleck from Magnum PI, yeah, stuff like that.
And how about you?
Oh, gosh. Kate Winslet. Biggs. There's so many. I love Sandra Bullock. Super fun. Biggs. Blanchett. There's so many.
Yeah.
They use so many different things, and that's what I love about artists out there, right? It's just depending on your range. You have these people in front of you and you watch something that's done great, and you say thank you for that.
Yeah, sometimes you can't imagine anyone else ever having played that role that that person played.
Yeah.
It's inspiring, and I know that, whether I'm on set or I'm watching something on TV, but, sometimes you steal little things, you see that things that other actors did, and you're like, oh, that worked, I'm gonna try to do that my own way too. And it becomes this amalgamation of everything you've ever seen or experienced comes out in performance, and that's going back to what you said about that makes you being you. And that's a lot of times with writers, they want, I had a production company for a while, and a lot of writers would be like, so what are you looking for? And it was like, I'm looking for your individual idea. Because a lot of times they want to write something that they can sell, and that has to be a consideration, but it's that individual voice is what's going to make it. Because every story has been told, more or less. It's how it's told is what makes it individual.
Very cool. Thanks, guys. All right. Next up, sorry, we took a moment there.
Hi, I'm Adriana. I'm from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Big fan of the show. My question was for both of you, as a heavy-hitting reporter and a huge superhero, can you describe how your characters would spend a day if they were in like New York or Chicago or any major American city today? Well, starting off with coffee. Lots of coffee, maybe a bagel. And then running around in high heels, yelling at people, dodging people. I don't know, doing some meetings, talking on the phone, having really greasy pizza at lunch. That's half the day.
How would it be being a journalist today's day and age?
Crazy, but I'd like her to be able to talk to people. That's all I'm gonna say.
So maybe there's two different ways you can answer this question. There's two different versions of your character.
Well, I just think that, I don't know, and off the top of my head, I think Clark would try to go to like the Natural History Museum, and he'd probably think dinosaurs are cool. Maybe he hears about somebody named Spider-Man and wants to meet him. I don't know.
We could like fly around and deflect all sorts of that's out of the atmosphere
That's true.
happening,
Yeah,
right, folks? That's all we say.
So we got some good space people just down the street. All
yeah.
right, good questions. Next up.
My name is Steven, and I'm from Southern Illinois. Quick remark, so my wife and I were walking around Manhattan last month when we were visiting for our 20th anniversary. And I even told her how, celebrities and stuff like that just walk around the city to keep your eye out, but there's just so many people for you to be able to pick out Erica in a crowd of Manhattan. Must be supervision. Question is regarding stunts. So are there any stunts you've ever had the opportunity to do and you're like, nah, I'm not doing that? Or that you got to do and you're like, okay, that was epic.
It's a little movie that came out last year where they were gonna set my character on fire. And I was like, I'll do it. I'm like, well, how much fire are we talking? And they're like, well, his arm catches on fire and then he puts it out in the dirt. I'm like, I think I can do it. So we did that. That was fun. It's very exciting to see her on fire. You definitely want to put it out as fast as possible. No action required.
Did you start out being willing to on Smallville do more things and then as Smallville went along, you're like, no, that's gonna hurt later? Really a long time, because I was like that.
I think there was a learning curve of what was being asked of me, and then as the show was airing, seeing what worked and what didn't. And a lot of times, it was more like, oh, you want me to do all of that, but it's gonna be edited into that? Well, let's just do that part of it.
Yes.
And, you know, we have stunt guys who, you know, they'll have a week to get ready to do something, and they're trained for it.
Really good at it.
They're really good at it, and their bodies are prepared to do it. Whereas an actor who's been standing around on set for a week and all of a sudden being thrown to a wall might get hurt. So it's learning what the edit was of the show. And a lot of times, if you didn't see my face, it wasn't me because I was probably filming something else. So you learn about that.
I remember I used
And the
to
show
always,
does too.
I used to always have to say yes, like I would want to say yes to everything. I'm like, to the fight, and I'm doing the whole fight, and I'm walking away with Bruce. I remember one time you're like, you're not gonna get a special award for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And you're right.
I used to say that with like, yeah, there's no extra credit for suffering. No one cares. Yeah. Being freezing outside or something. I don't need a jacket, bring a jacket.
All right, I think our next guest might need some help with the mic getting it down to him. Oh, no, he's just, oh, he's good. Oh,
Supporting.
he looks like he was so ready. Oh, my God.
I was gonna say, I'm Ethan from Gadsden. I identify with what Jake was saying now. This show came out when I was in high school, so I was like going through all this, oh, guys can be jerks at school, you know, all that. So but it was a real great show, but I had a question they've asked most of the stuff. So for both of you, what's your favorite rainy day movie and your favorite Christmas movie?
Rainy day?
Yeah, it's like it's on TV, Christmas or something. Oh.
Draft day? No. Oh, no. I don't know what rainy day movie. I don't know if I've ever had one. But it's rainy.
Okay, you're stuck in the house and like your kids are off doing something and you have to like be in for a long time. Do you watch like trilogies?
I'm thinking of that. I think a good way to rephrase that is
Like, what is something that you always go back to, or like, I'm gonna put something on? Yes, that's where I go.
cheaper by the dozen. Always makes you stop.
How about you, Eric?
I knew the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Girls.
I watched it all while I was filming Saving Hope. It helped me memorize all my lines. Especially the second one, the Two Towers. All the orcs, craziness of it all. What was the other thing?
Christmas movie.
Christmas movie. Oh,
Elf.
it's Scrooge with Alistair McQueen.
Yeah.
Stars in our
All right, next up, we got about 10 minutes to get through quite a few more.
We'll talk faster.
Hi, my name is Anila, and I'm really excited to talk to you. But my question was, what was the most exciting moment on Smallville?
Most exciting? I really like the stunt days. Anytime, because so the show's about 42 minutes long. It takes 10 days, 14-hour days to get enough film to make a 42-minute television show. And 2 of those days overlap with the next episode. And a lot of times, at least 1 or 2 of those days were full stunt days, meaning action days. And I always thought those were a lot of fun because, I don't know, it mixed things up a little bit. You didn't have to do a lot of talking. It's just more action-y.
I think not talking, you love talking. It's right the other way around.
Yeah.
I like talking.
Yeah.
a moment that's very significant to me, and I'm really not lying, is when I turn and say I'm Lois Lane. And that was huge for me. That was a really big deal. And I kept thinking, I laughed a few times when I went to say it because I wanted to be like, I'm bone. And then I knew, because I knew my life would change forever after that moment, regardless of whether I did two episodes or just went on the whole show. So that was a big deal.
Hi, I'm Amari. I'm Manila's sister. We're from Florence, Alabama. It was so refreshing to see Lois on screen and how Clark's character has so much more emotion. Was it fun being able to express that through your character, Tom?
It was fun. I think what I had a lot of fun with working with Erica and Clark and Lois, you got to see the banter. You got to see a little lighter, quippier side of Clark even that I don't think happened before Lois came down. And we used to talk about there was an old Bruce Willis TV show called Moonlighting.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to reference that because I thought that's how our characters should have that banter. And I think we pulled it off really well. We had a lot of fun doing that. Yeah.
All right, shout out to Shoals there too. All right, guys, we got about 5 minutes, so let's still real read this game and do kind of like a lightning round.
Okay.
So have a short question, we'll have a short answer for you. We'll try to get through as many of the lines as we can.
Got you. So Tom, right after you finished Smallville, you went off to play Kane and Lucifer. So how was that kind of 180 between, playing the paragon of like, truth and justice to being the first murderer?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, I think it's 5 or 6 years between it, if something like that. But there was a consideration where I definitely didn't want to play Kane as Clark, and in some ways I was thinking him like more like Lex Luthor, where Lex is always thinking why things are happening, and Clark would always sort of be like, "What is happening?" And I wanted Kane to be more why, a little more like knowing the bigger picture of moving chess pieces around the board. That was my way into that guy, and I just wanted to. He had to be there as a sort of a roadblock for the Chloe Lucifer relationship. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Erica. My question is there a superhero or villain that you would have liked to share the screen with while we're on Smallville?
Bruce Wayne, I thought would have been cool. Have him and Lex somehow cross paths. I think that would have been cool.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is T.I. and do you ever think that Clark lied to protect his secret?
I said, did Clark lie a lot? Do you feel like he lied a lot? Yes, he lied a lot.
A little bit. So I think rewatching the show, I see that Clark doesn't answer the question.
It's protecting.
Yeah, it's doing it for other people. He's a politician.
Don't lie, Fitz. But
Right.
you're not going to be an alien from another planet. You might. Okay.
You'll accept this.
Sorry. Do you have any words of encouragement if you could say something to your younger self, like trying to get into acting?
Going back to what I said before, just, slow down and enjoy the ride a little bit more. That's what I would say.
I would trust myself more and just be like more forgiving and say, you've got this, it's fine. Because it all is really going to be fun.
Hey, I got Artemis.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Well, on that note, so my name's Adam, and it was a big comfort show for me in my 20s when I was struggling to get my aerospace engineering degree. So thank you for being there for that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've done much with my life.
Well, so thinking about, like others have said, how they kind of grew up along the show or in different areas of their life. Like, I think we're probably about the same age in my 20s when I was watching the show. So, for y'all, 7 to 10 years of your lives, you're maturing through different things. And characters are also maturing. So I was kind of curious, was there ever anything that was kind of going on in your life, anything you could pull from saying like, as I'm maturing, this is informing how I am, playing the character?
Well, I think that a lot of times in life, it's hard to be so aware that that's even happening, right? A lot of times it's when you look back. But I can see in the rewatching through the podcast, I can see how me as an actor grew in that taking more time, there was a point where I realized, oh, just because I have 7 lines in a row doesn't mean I have to say them all 7 sentences in a row. I can take a beat. I can look around a little bit. I can inflect here, inflect there. And I can see how that grew in performance over the years. And that's just me being more comfortable, maybe more confident, understanding what the show needed from me differently. Yeah, but it wasn't like so acutely aware it was happening, but I see it now as I rewatch the episode.
I think for myself, I actually felt a little more in saving hope because that's when I became a mom. So that really, really changed my outlook on everything.
Question? Thank you. All right, we got one more in line?
I definitely couldn't have done the show pregnant. I could not have done Smallville pregnant.
Hi, I'm Elisa, and my question is, there are a lot of really iconic scenes that come to fruition in Smallville that pay homage to earlier single names like Christopher Reeve and Virgil, also like the first Kryptonite, the Fortress of Solitude, all of those really iconic classic moments when he changes the telephone booth for the first time.
Giving us all our answers, that's awesome.
What of those super iconic moments, being on screen with Helen Slater, what stands out to you? And also,
When you brought up the phone to that was funny because I don't know if I was so aware that that's what the scene was that day.
oh,
And we kind of you kind of finish one scene, you go to the other set, I walk up, there's a phone booth, and then he gets changed. Oh, this is odd. And then you got to remind yourself that Clark is aware of that. And so then that's when you kind of the fans are good. This is good. This is cool. Oh, we're going to do that. So that's one thing I always was careful of. What does Clark know? Because he doesn't know a lot of the things that the fans know about the character. And that was always a fun reminder for me to keep it fresh. He doesn't know that Lois and Clark are going to end up being together. We had a really great, we just talked about recently where our characters get kidnapped by the guy who's trying to shock us if we lie. And I thought, that little dance was really good, the way that they all came together. Because you're like, is he going to say it? Is she going to say it? It's that they did a good job. That's storytelling and writing. They did a good job.
Great question. Eric, did you think of that?
I was gonna say similarly that episode, but I think about it as it comes through my character. So all these little moments that Lois and Clark had where, did she recognize them? Did she not recognize them? But watching their relationship progress. And then I really liked Homecoming, that Greg directed at the end where we kind of just, he did a tease where they kind of said, this is what it would be like if it was Metropolis. And I thought that was a cool moment too.
Thank you, guys. One thing that I have picked up today is there is a younger generation that seems to have latched onto the show. But to kind of wrap everything up today, what words of encouragement would you have for them now? I feel like they picked a lot up from the show that aired some years ago, but what would you have to say to them today as they're coming of age?
To the fans?
Yeah, we had a lot of younger people with questions today. I was really happy to see that.
Like you? Oh, good.
Oh.
Yeah, you want to know what happens again? I don't remember either. That's why I'm doing a rewatch podcast. I don't know, just enjoy it. I mean, what's great about the show is it's something that there's not a lot of shows that people watch with their parents. And Smallville's one of them, and I think it's really cool. So many people, more people than not, say, I watch it with my dad, I watch it with my mom. And that's the time I remember with my dad, who's no longer with us, is that we share this together. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So, you don't have to watch it like a lot of people did where you had to wait a week to watch it. So, and nobody wants to do that anymore. So that's fair. Yeah.
I think to build on what Viv said about the sticking with your family and that sort of thing. And I think one of the things that people loved about Smallville is that the world in itself had so much noise and so many things going on and messages to tell you had to be a certain person. But if you watch Clark, he was exactly who he was. He accepted it, he worked with it, and he stuck close to it and listened to the people in his life that loved it and his parents. And that's who he constantly went back to. What should I do with this? What should I do with that? So it's like yeah, there's noise out there, guys, in the world, and things aren't always as easy as we want them to be, but if you look really at the people next to you, your family that are close, still good people, there's still good stuff happening, and you just stick with who you are.
Wonderful, thank you, guys. Well, thank you so much for spending.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're the person.
Oh,
I'm gonna circle back.
Okay.
Just coming down for the panel.
okay, no, that's,
You can have one with me.
that is great.